Cowboys' favorite food in the Old West. Cowboys were always pictured engaging in violent shootouts, gambling, and having a good time in saloons, but were rarely portrayed as hard-working men of the Old West. It is a long journey away from home when it's time to drive herds to the boundaries. It means that decent food could be rare, so their cook has to be resourceful and creative. Did you know that along with the cattle drive was a chuck wagon full of staple food? At the end of this video, you will discover how cowboys take care of their bodies, contradicting what we always see in movies, that most of the time they just drink beer. It was a good idea to have a cook in a chuck wagon full of food along with a group of cowboys when they drive herds. Cooks usually get up in the morning before all cowboys wakes up to prepare their food. Beans and bread were a staple for a cowboy. When cowboys wake up in the morning, they prepare themselves for another long day. They put on their sombreros and boots and head on for breakfast. As many say, breakfast is the most important part of the day, so cowboys normally have heavy meals for their breakfast. They usually start their day with freshly brewed coffee, bread, pan de Campo, dried fruit, dried meat, and beans. Beans were stapled in the Old West since they are easy to transport and their shelf life is long. We know that the first cowboys, or the Vaqueros, were a huge influence on the Old West. Vaqueros are North African, Spanish, or Mexican people who revolutionized the cattle business. They also taught the American cowboys the best clothing that can protect them from harsh terrains and weather when they work. And because they worked closely together, much of the cowboys' food was influenced by the Vaqueros. One of their favorites is the menudo, famously called son of a gun stew. It was a mix of animal hearts, tripe, and liver in thick tomato sauce. It is rich in protein that every hardworking cowboy needs. Meat, especially beef, is important for a cowboy's diet. It can be any recipe. Most of the time, beef steaks cooked on an iron skillet with some gravy is the easiest and fastest way to prepare a meal for a cattle drive cook. And because they have a lot of cattle, meat consumption was never a problem. Another food cowboys loved to eat was smoked jerky. It is practical to prepare, since it can last for days. It can be either smoked or sun-dried, and it can also be used for stews. It is also important for their diet since meat is high in protein. Pemmican is another cowboy's favorite. Think of it like a granola bar. However, pemmican is a mixture of fat, dried meat, and sometimes dried berries. This is a heavily traded food since it is high in calories and it can last up to years. Potatoes and beans make a good combination since the two are the most common vegetable and could provide the best filler for a stew. Beans were dehydrated so they could last long for months, and once needed, they can be rehydrated with molasses and water. Leave them on a medium fire for slow cooking, add a bit of salt, and voila! Cowboy's meal is served. Another staple food for the cowboys was hard cheese. They were dried until hard and dipped in paraffin wax so they could last longer. It is important because it is rich in calcium and high in fat and protein. Plus, it has important minerals like salt that would help the cowboys maintain their strong physique. It can be eaten raw or can go together with bread, but the cowboys' favorite was putting it together with chili beans. There would be times when beef was not available. They can easily substitute dried meat with salted pork. A tender part like belly part or sides of the pig is marinated in salt to keep the meat fresh. One of the oldest ways to preserve food. You can picture the modern-day bacon, and just how we enjoy bacon, salted pork can go well with eggs. It is satisfying for a cowboy who craves hearty breakfast. If you are fond of eating corn dogs, the cowboys' version of it was called corn dodgers. It is made of simple ingredients like cornmeal, salt, and boiling water. They were hand-formed and fried in pork grease. Cowboys loved being served treats after a hard day of work. One of their favorite treats is called sarsaparilla. It is brewed from the herb called Smilax media. Surprisingly, this herb is a cure for syphilis. Cowboys love to drink this because of the belief that it can cure anything. A healthy meal for a cowboy is so important. Keep watching. There are more interesting videos next.